I get to talk to people about building their trucks, which I'm super passionate about. I get to do photography every day, which I'm super passionate about. And I get to work with people and just help them with their journey. I get a lot of people telling me, "Hey, I want a truck just like yours." And to those people, I always say, whatever you do, do it with purpose. Do not forget to enjoy the process, because so many people, they have no purpose for their build and they don't enjoy it. They just kind of rush through it. They kind of just want the end product. And that's not the right way to do this. Like, do this at your pace. Do this because you want those products, because you need those products. And, that's what I love doing. I love educating people and just working with people to make their dreams come reality.
Are you into four-wheeling, camping, and exploring? How about off-road racing like mud bogs, short course wheel-to-wheel racing, or even desert races? Well, you've come to the right place. Welcome to 4x4 Canada podcast. My name is Wes, and I've been four-wheeling since I was 6 weeks old. I have over 20 years experience in 4x4 shops, many more than that in the off-road racing, and a lifetime of exploring the backcountry across Canada. Every week we bring you a new guest where they give you their perspective on the industry. We discuss everything from four-wheeling, overlanding, every form of off-road racing across this great country, as well as we talk to Canadian manufacturers and 4x4 shops. Just a quick reminder that if you're looking for more episodes, you can find all of our episodes on 4x4canadapodcast.com or your favorite podcast sharing platform. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at 4x4canadapodcast.com. Now let's get to the show. Our guest today is a Yoda boy. He bleeds Toyota, had a 4Runner and a few Tacomas, and he works at a place where they talk about Toyotas and modifying Toyotas all day long. Vill from Krave Automotive, welcome to the 4x4 Canada podcast.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, super excited to be here.
So, Vill, you're the sales and marketing manager at Krave Automotive, which is known as the Toyota Specialist in Alberta. People can check you guys out at craveautomotive.ca and as Krave Automotive on Facebook and the Insta. So, in the opening, I called you a Yoda boy, and I actually went to the Urban Dictionary to make sure I had my terminology right. And Urban Dictionary is where you get your quality information, right?
Yeah.
Here's what Urban Dictionary said about Yoda boy: a group of straight-faced alpha males who drive superior Toyota trucks. And the example is even better. And the example they use is, holy shit, Tom and Jim, our Yoda boys, they must get a lot of hot women and money, and they must be really smart and tough and genius.
I thought I was going to say something about turrets. So
No.
I'll take the latter.
So does that make you sound like you're a Yoda boy?
Yeah, you know what? I'll take it. Yeah, I don't know if my wife would like that, but we'll take that one. Yeah. So no, I mean, we love our Toyotas. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, we'll get into Krave shortly because I got a lot of questions with Krave, but I do want to learn a bit about you and your background. And you didn't grow up in Canada, did you?
No, I was born in South Africa. I'm 12th generation South African. Lived there till I was 11 years old. Learned English in Canada when I moved to Manitoba. In 98, my parents were doctors. Kind of very classic South Africans in Canada thing. And Manitoba for 2 years, Newfoundland for 3, and then Calgary since 2003. South Africa, beautiful country. If you've not been there, I would highly suggest it to people. A lot of diversity and so forth. But yeah, I call Canada home now. I've been here for just about 25 years. So
yeah, no, you're definitely a Canadian for sure. So
yeah.
Have you been back to South Africa much? Or?
I've been back multiple times. Yeah, I still have a grandma there, a couple of second cousins, and both my sisters currently reside there as well. So as much as I'd love to go back more often, the last few years have been kind of tough to get back. And then, life just kind of takes you on different roller coasters. So, finding those routes sometimes is a little bit hard.
Yeah, no doubt. No. So looking at your Instagram, you're at Geo Scout Adventures on Instagram. You obviously love photography. Did photography lead you into the 4x4 world or vice versa?
Yeah. So, the Geo Scout, where that comes from my background as actually a geologist. Worked in the oil and gas industry for 10 years, and that's where that geo is. I've loved exploring our backcountry, since I was a young boy, going hiking and so forth. And I actually resisted photography for a long time. I was kind of that iPhone or point and shoot photographer. My dad always tried to get me into it. And I was just resisted. I didn't want to carry a camera. I didn't care for it. And, after university, getting out more, doing more ski touring, more backpacking and all that, photography just naturally took off. And I started doing mostly landscape photography. I think if you look at a lot of my photos, even of trucks, there's usually a strong landscape component to it. And I love telling that story of the truck in that scene with its surroundings. Sometimes I do find yourself kind of shooting for the gram, as they say, and placing that truck's dead center and just kind of doing what people want to see. But ultimate love shooting with what I love, which is that backcountry experience, that nature experience. I would say in a way, like go back to South Africa question. I started off-roading with my dad when I was quite young. We had quite a few Land Cruisers, Land Rovers, and so forth. So I've not always been Toyota. I really love old Land Cruiser or Land Rover. Sorry, we had a couple of 90s and 110s growing up, and so that will always have a soft spot for me. They're just not that reliable. But yeah, so photography really took off. I would say in 2015, right when I bought my first Tacoma. Before that, I was kind of into the Volkswagens and stuff. And then I went to Iceland that same year, like basically like a month after I bought the truck. And I was obviously in Iceland trying to take photos and just in awe of all those big lifted trucks. And that brought back memories of when I was a kid and we had a small little adventure trailer with a rooftop tent. And I was just like, you know what? This is what I got to get back into. And so as soon as we got back, I started building that truck. I lifted a little bit, got a rooftop tent, etc. And just started down that journey of overlanding and just using the truck for travel as well, to get me to the places that I want to be, whether it's ski touring, mountaineering, etc. So yeah, I would say photography and off-roading really for me when it took off kind of started hand in hand. And that'll tie really into the Krave story as well.
Yeah, we'll get into Krave in a second, but people should check out GeoScout Adventures on Instagram because your photography is really superb. I really do enjoy it. There's a lot of shots, like you say, these are your typical gram shots, but there's a lot of shots in there that the way that you envelop, I definitely see you trying to tell the story, right? So whether it be the way the sun is or way the mountains are sitting behind. So you've had a couple different vehicles, a 4Runner and a few Tacomas. Let's quickly talk about those.
Yeah, so, my first Toyota that I owned in Canada here was a 2015 Tacoma. It was a manual. And, I started building that truck in 2015 pretty much right away. And that's still my dream truck. Honestly, that thing had everything: supercharged, manual, geared, double lockers, everything, you name it. Like it had it. And unfortunately, I wrote that truck off on really icy morning up north of Nordegg. We were out on the Ruby Falls trip. And unfortunately, part of the road was closed. We ended up having to take like a big side loop to get out of there. And kind of close to actually Hinton or the Edson area. And I came around this really sharp corner and 30, 40 kilometers an hour. And the truck just kept sliding and there's nothing I could do to stop it. And I hit a tree, wrote the truck off. And that was kind of the end of that. It was actually a 6-month kind of insurance battle. And
I bet,
the truck was insured properly, but it was one of those things where they didn't really value it properly right from the start. And so it just got written off and it is what it is. That's kind of the end of that. At the same time, I also had the black 4Runner, which is actually my wife's vehicle. Classically, I have a friend, Ken Hoagland, out in the US, in Utah, and he's always reminding me of that. I said, oh, just some wheels and tires. That's all I'm going to do to this thing. And the wheels and tires turned into 35s and everything. And, but it was almost a blessing in disguise because I had that vehicle kind of in my back pocket. Like I didn't have to stop exploring that summer because I had a vehicle that with some minor tweaks, some minor mods, a small drawer system in the back, different roof rack, put a tent on. And I was able to keep exploring for the summer of 2021, I guess. So that was that. And then I needed a daily. So I bought a 3rd-gen 4Runner, cheap, 430,000 kilometers, $6,000 kind of. And before you knew it, the mod bug hit and that thing got built. I sunk way too much money into it, a lot of time. And I would say that's probably the most capable vehicle that I've ever driven, with double lockers, 529 gears, some 305 tires. That thing could go just about anywhere. And I still miss it. I actually regret selling it. When I started getting the other Tacomas, I got rid of it because I don't need 4. I literally had 4 of those kind of built vehicles at one point, all on the same tire. And I was like, this is insane. I don't need all these vehicles.
Yeah.
And so, I wasn't trying to flex that hard. And so I sold it. And at that point, I bought what is now my green truck. So it's a 2008 Tacoma long box that has been kind of the parts bin truck. So when my 2015 got written off, we put the supercharger from it, my Trust disc swap rear axle into it, a bunch of fun parts from that truck into the green truck, which was a white truck at the time. And Ryan, the shop owner, actually owned it at the time. He bought it super cheap, actually, with a blown motor, put a new motor in, and ended up putting long travel from a customer's truck in that was kind of shot, and we rebuilt it. And at that time, I needed a truck, so I was like, well, I'll buy you out of my share of this vehicle, which I did. My dad passed away in early 2021, and he had what is my white truck currently. And I knew that, like he started building it a little bit. We really got into like off-roading together, and he was kind of that good pastime we could do together. So I knew right away, I'm like, I need to try to get this truck. Unfortunately, it took a lot longer than I thought it would be to get it out of probate and all that. And I happened to actually get both those trucks pretty much at the exact same time. So I was like, all right, well, now I got two Tacomas. I got this 4Runner. I got another 4Runner. I got to get rid of something. So we sold the 2001, kept the black one for a bit, and started kind of building both. And so the white truck there's a lot of sponsorship into that thing, but it's quite the build. It's a real representation of what Krave does and what I've learned over the last, I guess it's like 5 to 7 years now of building these trucks and really learning about them. And I think that truck is just a perfect representation of it. And so I got both. Late last fall, I painted the second gen Tacoma a green. It's like a roll-on bed liner. And a lot of people think it was sprayed. No, we actually did that in the shop. Me and two other guys over a weekend, 150 hours or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Man hours into it. And we rebuilt it. And it, honestly, man, like that thing is what Tacoma world is all about. Like that. I love the white truck, but that green thing, oh my God. That's the truck I drive every day. Yeah.
Yeah. Supercharger and long travel, right?
And 37s, double locked. Like it's just about unstoppable. I love that.
Yeah.
Thing. Yeah.
But obviously the white one's got some sentimental value there too, right?
100%. So that's a lot of people are like, well, why two trucks? And you know what? The white one is purely built for overlanding. It's got the tent on there full time. It's got a drawer system in the rear. The fridge is always in there. It's pretty much ready to go whenever I need it to go. Overlanding, camping, trips. I got two boys. Car seats are always in there. We're ready to go whenever we want to.
Yeah.
Whereas the green truck's kind of the workhorse. I want to go hunting. I don't need to worry about the stuff in the back. If I want to go mountain biking, whatever, it's just kind of ready to go. And then I also, like I said, I daily it. So, it's actually funny enough better on gas on 37s than the other truck is. So yeah, so that's kind of the two trucks. We did sell the black 4Runner.
Yep.
Again, really didn't need it anymore. And yeah, that's the vehicles. I've built 5 of these things.
That's great. Well, you definitely got some experience behind you on that part. I think the white one, from what I've seen on your Instagram, is very typical of a Krave build.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our show truck. That's this truck that we take to shows. Last year, I went down to Bend, Elka Suspension out of Quebec. They reached out. They said, hey, we need somebody down in the Bend Expo. Are you willing to bring the truck down? And so, yeah, we took the truck down and showed it down there.
So let's talk about Krave Automotive. As I mentioned earlier, Krave's known for their awesome Toyota builds. Your truck is your trucks, I should say, are a perfect example of that. Let's hear your elevator pitch about Krave.
Yeah, so this is the only tough question that you kind of asked me, and I had to put some thought to, and I actually wrote something down. I would say that we have a team of enthusiasts that absolutely love the brand. Everybody that works at Krave drives a Toyota 4x4 of some sort. We have become the experts in the Toyota platform, and our depth of knowledge within our techs and our sales team means that, we have either researched it, built it, seen it, you have in whether it's a modification or a problem with your vehicle. And so, ultimately people look at us as the experts. Dealerships call us as we are the experts on these vehicles. And, a big part of that comes from our ownership. Kyle and Ryan, the guys that started this company, Ryan's a master tech Toyota guy, and we used to call him the doctor. Like the guy knows everything about these vehicles, and it just gives us such a breadth of knowledge that, I think it's really hard to find anywhere else
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I know
yeah,
one of
sorry,
the
it's
things
been a long-winded question.
no, that's exactly what we're looking for. So one thing I noticed that when checking out your website, the Krave crew page on your website, is a lot of your staff started out as Krave customers.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's something I want to talk about. I started off as a customer. I was like I said before, I was a geologist. And at the time, I I was actually the very first customer of Crave. Funny enough, it's when I supercharged my Taco. I went to Kyle when he was still over at Cochrane Toyota, and I said, "Hey, I want to supercharge this thing. It feels too slow." And he pulled me into his office. He's like, "Just hold up. Can you like wait a month or two? We're starting to shop. We're gonna do this." And I was like, "Absolutely, let's go." And yeah, first customer through the door, first build. I have photos and video of when that went down. And absolutely, like I think that is also what allows me to do my job really, really well, is having been a customer. I really look at a lot of things from a customer point of view.
Yeah.
A big thing for me is customer experience and how I would have wanted to be treated as a customer. So I think that's great. That's how I started. And you're right. A lot of our either our techs or our service guys at the front, the sales staff, they all started off as, coming to buy some parts or getting the vehicle worked on, and then eventually just going like, "Hey, like I actually want to work here. Like I'm infatuated with this business." And that was me as well, like just got infatuated with the business right from the start. And that's kind of my career story. Was an unofficial employee for a very long time.
Well, I think that really stands to a company that a lot of people want to work there, and the company culture, right? When you go into a business, a lot of times you can see just by how people are interacting with each other. And I mean, yeah, it's cool talking Toyotas all day and modifying Toyotas and talking about, rooftop tents and overlanding and all that's cool to do all day. But if the culture is not there, then it's not a good place to work at, right? So the fact that you guys are expanding, I mean, I saw a thing the other day where you guys are looking for another certified technician.
Yeah, I was actually going to talk about that. Yeah.
And so I think, the company culture is a huge thing to me.
Absolutely. Like I said, everybody drives a Toyota 4x4, and we have purposely hired that way. It's not easy finding a technician sometimes when you have such a strong restriction, but ultimately, we don't hate on other brands. A lot of our guys have DM cars, or they have other vehicles and other passions that they also love. Ryan had a Jeep Cherokee for a long time here until he finally just sold it. But a lot of us have had other vehicles. But what's important to us is having a culture in the shop of, as much as I hate to say, but we don't want a guy that, is just going to crap on the brand or talk poorly about Toyota or whatever. Like we need that full buy-in of the team. Yeah, we all love the brand. We all love the products. We can all get along in that way. And then a part of the culture is too, like a lot of us are explorers. And while not everybody maybe had such a huge overlanding or off-road camping type, upbringing or past, we've really developed that through our trips and our staff events. We do about 3 or 4 staff events a year where we get out, we take a Friday off, and we go out together and we use that time to kind of get to know each other better and, and experience what we build every day. I think it's really, really important for people to not only own the products or have the products, but also just use them and get out there and actually have fun with them and get to know what makes them what they are. And so that's, I think, really important.
100%. And I had a talk with Tim from TMR Racing a while ago, and he's saying the same thing. He's like, we're out there, we're pounding these vehicles, we're seeing what's going wrong or how we can improve things. And it's the same thing with you guys going out. I do see quite often you guys have been out and using your vehicles. And I think it's a great team building thing as well, too. I've worked in 4x4 shops for 20 years or whatever. And a lot of us would go out on the weekends, four-wheeling or exploring. And some of those guys are still my best friends, from 10 years ago, right? So it definitely creates a really good culture in the workplace for sure.
Yeah, it was super cool. It was like, we obviously started these group trips. I've only ever missed one Krave event, and that's even not having been an employee the entire time. Yeah, it was one winter trip that I couldn't make it on, but other than that, I've never missed a Krave event. I will not miss them. They're too important for me. But what's really cool is our staff now, they make their own plans. Like last weekend, two of our techs and two of our sales guys, they went out for the weekend. They
Yep.
built their diesel heaters the night before, and they're playing around, and one guy's got a cheaper one than the other, and they're kind of bashing each other. But it's really good camaraderie and team building, and for them to just learn and use these products that we've all been kind of using for a long time, but they haven't, and them getting to experience and camp in a different way that a lot of people won't, right? So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. So new online store just went live a few weeks ago, and it looks really good. You guys had your basic website, but now you've got an online store. People can purchase product online, and it looks really good. It's really easy to use, and I've got about $13,000 in my cart. But there's a problem with your guys' credit card processing thing, because I kept on saying my card is declined.
Oh yeah.
So you guys got to work on that. But no, your new online parts store looks really, really good. So good job on that.
Yeah. So we've got craveautomotive.ca, and then we've got craveonline.ca. I wanted a separate website. Like our main website is there to teach people about what Krave is, what we do, what our basic services are. We can get into it a bit more here, but that's what it's all about. It's just telling people who Krave is, what we are, who our vendors are, etc. The Krave Online site, we were quite hesitant to actually do. We had a small online shop before, and we were quite hesitant to actually do online sales. We do not want to race for the bottom dollar. It's quite an aggressive space. But more and more, we started seeing that customers just want to be able to have quick access to pricing, etc. And what started happening is, because we didn't have online, vendors who we had kind of had exclusive agreements on started signing up smaller websites, to their right, because they were like, well, we want an online presence. We want a Canadian online presence.
Yeah.
And so they started signing up these other websites and other groups. So we were certainly losing our exclusivity, and we were losing potential market share. And so by starting online, we're hoping that we can show people that, hey, yeah, we can not only maybe have that C4 bumper in stock, but we can also ship it to you in Nova Scotia. Or, maybe we don't have it in stock, but we can drop ship it to you, and we can help you take care of the shipping, the duties, all the stuff that's scary to people. We can do that for you. And that's ultimately what Krave has really become good at, is importing hard to get products. As much as we can talk about some of our Canadian vendors, as much as we have a lot of great Canadian vendors, a large portion of our stock is still coming out of the States. And there's some companies that we really love working with, and it's still important to bring out of the States.
Everything I've seen of your product that you guys carry, even on the online store, other stuff that may not be on there, everything I've seen is all top quality stuff. Like, you guys basically don't screw around with the cheaper stuff.
I mean, sorry, I don't want to step on you there.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, right now we have, I would still call a limited offering on our online store.
Yeah.
I kind of set a hard line of it's launching Feb 1st. If I could have launched Jan 1st, I would have, but we just weren't ready. And we're still learning the hiccups. Like every once in a while, somebody will text us or email us and be like, hey, I just noticed this. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, fix that right now. Right. But so we need to get it launched. And yeah, I think there's so much more to come. Like there's, I think 6,000 SKUs in there with variations of all the stuff, roughly about 600 products total. And I think we can be in a couple thousand products by the time we're actually done. But we do have plans of bringing people on that's going to keep growing that and also running it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a thing that, everybody's so used to going to, whether it be Amazon or whatever, and not realizing that there's a lot of good companies in Canada that have good product and good customer service, as well as good prices. And that's one of the reasons I started the podcast, was to help, promote companies like, yourselves, or I've had 3 or 4 other companies on board, and there's so many good quality Canadian companies out there that people just don't realize, right? So,
yeah, I mean, obviously bringing stuff out of the States is quite difficult in terms of rates and broker fees and shipping and all that. But, as much as the prices might seem high, we do aim to be very fair. And I would say that, our prices are pretty good, and we have good products. Like you said, we have quality products. And as always, our sales team's still there. You can browse on the website and then send an email, and we don't even have to make the sale right through the website. We can do it through a normal work order. We can do it as part of your build. Our sales team's really using that website as a tool for them to quickly show products, quickly get pricing. And so it's just another tool in the toolbox for us to show people what we can do, what we have. The website, a lot of the photos, if I have taken them, if I have them, a lot of the websites are not stock photos. They're my photos. They're our photos that we want to show. Hey, yeah, like we've used these, we've put these on trucks, and this is what you could have potentially.
Yeah. Well, and also, like you say, if there's a lot of stuff that's not on there. So, if anybody listening is looking on the website and they're looking for some particular they don't see on your online store, by all means, pick up a phone call or shoot an email, because you can get other stuff that's not on the website.
Absolutely. I mean, there's lots of wheels that we don't have on there. There's we don't have our full catalog of front runner products that we would maybe install on trucks on there. There's tons. It's gonna take a while to get through everything.
Oh yeah, I know. We've at my workplace, we've been dealing with our online store issues for over a year now. So I know the deadline thing, and it's just been killing us. But we've been fighting for little issues for a year. So
yeah,
I know where you're coming from. But like I say, your guys' site does look good, and it's clean. It's clean and simple.
And that was the goal. Just make it. I have a 3rd gen 4Runner. I look for armor. Okay, what do these guys have? Okay, I can get pricing. I can pre-order everything. If it's not in stock, is set so you can pre-order. We've done the best we can to have accurate lead times. C4 front bumper, 14 weeks, bare coated. Do you want a hoop? Yeah. Okay, pre-order done. It's as simple as that. I get that. I submit it to C4 the next day, and it's coming. And I'll send a follow-up email and say, hey, we got your order. I've submitted the order. Estimated lead time. Are you interested in powder coating? Do you want install? Are we shipping this? Like, what are we doing? And really want to make it simple and easy, same as we would have even if we didn't have the website.
Yeah. So one thing that I've noticed on your regular website is your packages. For example, a package to run, say, 33s on a Tacoma or 35s or whatever. And it kind of just gives somebody an idea of what's needed to do, right? So
100%.
I think,
yeah, you nailed it. We have a blog post actually on what is a KR package. And if you haven't read it and you kind of want to just, hey, like, what exactly is a KR 34? Well, go read the blog post, because it honestly will explain our philosophy. But the basic philosophy is like, okay, we have our build pages on the website that shows past builds. And honestly, to be honest, there's hundreds of trucks that are photographed that are not on there. And we will be working on getting those on there more. But let's say you go on there and you're like, I don't know, Hops Taco. That's one of the trucks standing on my head right now. That is a great customer of our Mark's. That's his Tacoma. And it's on 33s. It's got a green lane front bumper on it. It's got a winch. It's got Geolander tires. It's got SCS F5 wheels. And you're like, you know what? That's my dream truck. That's what I want. I want the Hops Taco. Okay, well, it tells me it's a KR33. So then what you can do is you can go to our KR packages and you go, well, a KR33 is going to have 2 to 3 inch suspension. It's going to have 17-inch wheels. It's going to have 33-inch tires and these extra accessories. And roughly it's going to start at this price. So now you can budget. You've got an idea of what can be done.
Yeah.
That's not to say you can't spoil yourself, get some remote reservoir suspension from the KR35 package and put it on your KR33. You can absolutely mix and match. But the idea there is just to get you started, get you an idea. And then the next step would be start your build. So there's a tab on there. You click on start my build and the sheet. You fill out your name, your phone number, what's your ideal truck. I love the Hops Taco. And, that's what I want to do. And then my sales team takes over and they ask the important questions. They ask questions of, hey, like, how much weight are you going to carry? What kind of roads do you want to travel on? And that's where we can then fine tune that build to you. And so now your KR33 package might not be anything like what's on the website, but at least it gave you a starting point. It gave you a budget. It gave you, where do you want to go with this? And so that's what that's all about.
Well, I think it, like I say, it gives the basics, hey, are you looking at $5,000? Are you looking at $6,000 or whatever it is?
Yep.
And like you say, it gives you that basic starting point for a budget. But I think it is definitely critical in talking to your sales staff to find out what are you looking to do with a vehicle. And
Yeah, like we might find a guy that, hey, I want 33-inch tires. I'm really only going to be driving to Banff every weekend. I'm mostly going to be highway cruising. I'm not looking to really do any off-roading or any camping with this truck. And for that guy, we might be like, you know what? Maybe we don't need to spend money on Elka suspension that's, coil over adjustable shocks. Maybe we just get some iBox.
yeah,
Maybe we get you something that's going to be maybe easier to maintain long term. You don't have lower sphericals. You don't have rebuildable shocks you have to deal with. And it's going to get you everything you want at maybe a $3,000 price point, let's say.
yeah,
And so that's where the questions come in. And that's one thing I should say is that just because you see a KR33 starting at, I think it's like $4,500 or whatever we have on there, doesn't mean that that's what it's going to cost you. You could downgrade, not downgrade, but you could choose a less expensive suspension option
hmm
to get to you to that 33-inch tire that you really, really want.
and do it in stages as well, too, right?
Exactly. And one thing that I'm a huge proponent of is, and that's what a lot of the questions are about, is like, well, what do you want to do with this truck? Where do you see yourself maybe in a year or two from now? Oh, you want to do the Dempster? Okay, well, let's talk about the fact that you're going to need at least 10-ply tires. You're going to need
Yep.
extra fuel. You're going to need all this ability to carry weight. So there's no sense of putting potentially just an add leaf in your truck when maybe you're going to need a medium duty leaf pack or maybe even a heavy duty leaf pack. And so that's where those questions and my team's experience comes in to help you build the truck for you.
Exactly. And, take like, say somebody might be doing a lot of their stuff by themselves. Well, you should be looking at going with the winch before you go with, something else, right? So taking
Yeah,
the experience of your sales team and your technicians, having driven Toyotas, modified Toyotas themselves and being out there, like you said last weekend, some of the guys were out playing by themselves. And I definitely think that's critical to, there's a lot of 4x4 shops where the guys are not actually going out four-wheeling. So how do they know what the customer actually needs?
absolutely. I mean, it's it's
That's
it's that whole argument of lights before lockers or whatever you have, right? It's like absolutely. Like if you just want to look cool, you want to bomb some roads, go lights all day. But if you want to wheel this truck, you want to get out there, you want to use it in a certain way. Well, that's a different conversation, and
yeah,
and we should be budgeting and talking about the entire build as a process rather than just right now. It's really the experience.
yeah. Now you mentioned Elka earlier, and
Yeah,
I absolutely love the Elka line. The biggest fact being that they're Canadian. They're out of
absolutely. Yep,
Quebec, as you mentioned, and I know you guys are huge into the Elka line. You guys have a really good relationship with them, and you sell a lot of Elka product. Can you give our listeners just a quick rundown on Elka and what you have found that makes it a great?
yeah. So Elk Suspension, I believe, started in 2001. They started off as a motorsports brand, UTV, ATV, snowmobile. They're made in Boucherville, Quebec, and they've been race bred, performance based for basically their entire heritage. The owners raced in the Baja 1000 on motorcycles, so they've got a huge experience of that. Many of their employees that's still working there have been there the entire time, so they've just got this long heritage of building performance suspension and quality suspension. I've been out on the road before where people like, oh, what's Elko? Like, why do you have the sticker? Well, I have them on my truck. Oh shoot, I was sponsored by them like 10 years ago, when I used to race snowmobiles or whatever. And a lot of people are surprised. So Elka started coming out with truck suspension, I think it's about 5 years ago. So
Yeah,
roughly around the same time Krave, kind of really got going. And they got a contract with the Australian military to build truck suspension for the Hilux. And so that's how their start in Toyota became, like I said, 5 years ago. And right at that time, Crave basically picked them up. There was a customer, he mentioned them, and the owners were like, yeah, this is cool. Like, let's try these. And at the time we were putting Fox and King and
yeah,
Icon into trucks. And I always say to people, there's nothing wrong with Fox, King, or Icon. They perform incredibly well. I've had Icon on my truck in the past. absolutely loved it. Like there's certain things that I maybe like more. I did end up calling them the iconic failures after a while, after I snapped 3 shock shafts and had a bunch of other issues, but that was more of just a joke. But Elka suspension, yeah, like I said, it's been around for a long time. What puts them apart is the fact that they have aluminum shock bodies. So with an aluminum shock body, you don't get the rust that you see out of a Fox or King.
Yep.
I can't tell you how many Fox and Kings we've cut out of trucks and thrown in the bin because we cannot rebuild them. All the threads are seized, they're rusted, the shocks are blown out, and there's just nothing we can do about them because our environment in Canada is just, it's super harsh. You might as well be driving through the Great Lakes or, through the ocean. It's disgusting, really, on our roads. And so the Alcas that's in my white truck right now were actually in my old 2015. They've been on a truck for coming up on 4 years here. They've been abused. They've never been rebuilt. The only thing that we've changed is obviously sphericals, which is a wearable item.
Yeah.
And, other than that, they've been performing flawlessly on a very, very heavy truck. The truck weighs over 7,000 pounds. And so, yeah, like that's why we push them. The other thing is we are a certified warranty center for Elka. So with that, we can give you support that we just cannot give you with King or Fox. If your King or Fox fails, well, now I'm at the mercy of my suppliers, hoping I can get you parts, etc. Whereas Elka, I can call the main sales guy. I can call the developer, or sorry, the guys building these things and say, hey, this failed. Can I get parts for this or what have you? And so we have just such a strong connection with them. We are a stocking dealer. We wholesale to a whole lot of dealerships around Calgary and Alberta. So anybody out there listening and you want to lead on some Elka, and we can sell you Elka at a wholesale price. And yeah, that's my pitch for Elka. We love the product. I'm not saying it's perfect, but there's just a lot of pros to it.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing I've noticed is that they seem to last a lot better in the Canadian thing. I mean, the Kings and the Foxes were born and bred in the deserts of the States. And that's one thing that you're always replacing, whether it be, like you say, shafts or whatever. But a lot of times I've got a lot of friends that are running, when I was in the Nissan world, were running rad flows. And they're rebuilding them every 2 years. And I mean, Radflow is a little cheaper line, but from everything I've seen, like I've got a couple friends running the, and they just seem to love them and they just don't have any issues, right? So
yeah, and
you know what? And they're Canadian.
Yeah, and you know what? That's huge for us. We can keep talking about the Canadian brands that we work with, but obviously, if there's a Canadian company that we can support, we're going to do that. And them being Canadian, I think just Krave's Canadian. We got Canadian flags all over our trucks and et cetera, and we're proud of that. And then the other thing that I haven't mentioned is lead times in Elka's like 4 weeks right now. I can get you
really
remote reservoir 2.5 suspension in 3 to 4 weeks if I don't have it on my shelf already. Like I said, we're a stocking dealer. We've got quite a lot in stock all the time. And 4 weeks, like try to get a set of Kings like that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I've heard lots of horror stories about the Kings and how long their back orders are. So,
and one last thing about Elka, because we've been working with them for so long, they allow us to do custom stuff too. So you'll see stickers called Krave Custom Valving, Krave Custom whatever, and those are actually Krave custom shocks that we help develop with them. So the suspension in my long travel truck and the green truck is actually, they're one of a kind right now. Elka long travel suspension. So we've developed the valving with them. We've developed the specs to make them fit with the Total Chaos kit. And so that's something that we plan to actually get on the website and start getting those packages out there too, and potentially selling long travel kits like that. But that's the other cool thing is we can do things that are not maybe so easily possible with the other brands. Not saying it's impossible, just not quite as easy.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's great. So sticking with the whole Canadian company thing, I know that you guys are a Treeline rooftop tent dealer and you've got a really good relationship with them as well too.
Yep. Yeah. So Treeline's in our backyard. They're in Turner Valley, just south of Calgary. Treeline's been around since 2013. Chad, the owner, originally started what is just an incredible rooftop tent company. I always tell people they are innovators, not duplicators. There is so many rooftop tents on the market right now, and Treeline's really made something that's unique. We've seen lots of tents come through the shop, and I'll be honest, some of them have features that we like, but none of them have the features like Treeline does, like their round windows, just coverings on all the poles, the way that their fabrics are put together. Treeline actually, the red tent on my white truck is actually made in Calgary. That is cool. Like the tent body is sewn and stitched in Calgary. The mattress is made in Calgary and it's assembled in Calgary. Again, how
I saw
Canadian
that
you
on
get?
their website a little while ago, and I definitely
Yeah,
want to get together with the Treeline guys and have them
yeah. Get Luke on here.
as well.
Yeah,
Because, but I saw that they're coming out with a made in Canada tent, and
yeah.
to me, that's huge, right? So,
And
not knowing their quality, I do have a couple of friends like Corey. He's got a Treeline tent, and the quality is there. Yes, they're an expensive tent; they're not a $1,500 tent,
yeah,
but you get what you pay for,
you honestly
right?
do. The new mattress. My wife was pregnant last summer for part of it, and she was sleeping in there without complaining. It's quite nice. It's a huge difference. And I was going to say they're also just coming out with a new trailer made in Calgary. They've got some other plans in the works of more Canadian made products, and they're really in the process of transition as well. And we're definitely working closely with them to help them make that.
Beautiful. Yeah, I definitely want to get Luke on board. I actually got an email. I think it was today. One of their promo emails came in,
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, I got to talk to these guys.
their
So,
family tree story. I think it's
yeah,
number 18.
exactly. Yeah. So speaking of rooftop tents, I saw the other day that you guys are going to be a stocking iCamper dealer.
Yeah, correct. So we're actually super excited about this. As much as we love Treeline, they don't have a current hard shell offering. And iCamper has been one of those brands that's been on the market for a long time, much like Toyota, quality Japanese product. I kind of view iCamper as a quality Korean made product. And, there's just certain qualities that you just don't get out of a lot of these hard shells that you see out there out of the smaller brands or the cheaper brands. And with that iCamper line comes, I think, just quality things,
Yeah.
great marketing, great teams working on their stuff. And, also a lot of innovation. Like there's a lot of stuff on there that's really cool. We brought in the initial 3 as kind of like a initial stock. Those sold right away in January. We sell tents in January, but iCamper does. So we're super stoked about it. It's part of kind of Krave looking to really push the overland side of this hobby as well. For a long time, we've been building great trucks that are capable of it. And, maybe putting a tent on, maybe putting a bed rack on, but we're going to really start pushing, becoming more true an overland shop as well. And iCamper is a big part of that.
That's great. Yeah. The iCamper sticks with the whole theme I think you guys have going on at Krave is top quality products. I've got a friend with an iCamper and I've dissected it from top to bottom and it is beautiful quality. And I think the whole sticking with the Alka and the iCamper and Treeline and these other companies is a lot of your stuff is you guys aren't throwing the cheap or the crappy stuff on. I mean, obviously everybody's budget is different
Yeah.
and
And
you work with everybody's budget.
yeah, obviously, like we want to respect everybody's budget and what they're capable of affording.
Yeah.
We still have access to A or B tents, Thule tents, Smittyville tents, what have you. But it's just not stuff that we're going to be stocking. Stuff that we're going to be stocking is going to be the higher quality, the higher demand stuff like iCap or like Treeline. Treeline, we stock less of because they're down the road from us. And a lot of times I will even tell my customers like, hey, like just go talk to Luke. Like Luke is the expert of a Treeline tent. And yes, I've walked away from a lot of sales by just referring straight to Treeline, but it goes vice versa too. Like they help us out so much. But with that being said, we want to start getting more into this overland thing and kind of looking at the next 5 years of Krave. Krave has just celebrated 5 years in November this year or last year, sorry. And, I have a game plan of what I want to see the next 5 years of growth looks like and really getting to that overland business, more of it is a big part of that. And, before the podcast started, we briefly talked about going to go see Yucapac in Red Deer there or Lacombe, sorry. And that's going to be our next push. Like, let's start building whole truck build. Like I want to get canopy campers on there. I want to do the whole thing. So it's a big part of my vision for the next 5 years.
Yucapac is another great Canadian company as well too.
100%,
I've been jonesing for one of those for a while, and his prices are so reasonable.
Dave did his research. Dave came from Mission Overland Trailers. He learned how to build top quality fabricated products. And in my opinion, his price point, he nailed it. He's got a product that is truly unique. It's not just a canopy with a tent on it. It is a camper. And, I've seen him at the shows before and we had one customer with it. but really getting to learn about how it's made with his installation package and et cetera on there today, man, I'm going to want one of those. Like I knew I wanted one of those, but yeah, that thing is cool, man. Like it's so easy to use. And I think he's got a phenomenal product and we're excited. We're going to be a dealer for him. So yeah, and we're going to put
That's
one on
really
the company
cool.
truck. Yeah.
I really want one. I have to admit, I've been really jonesing for one. It's the quality's there, from everything I've seen on them. So
It really is. It really is. We love Alucab. Alucab is just about next to impossible for us to get our hands on. I have one on my truck, a canopy. Probably should have put something that I could actually get to show people. I love the product. They're from South Africa. It was my heritage, and I've gone back and forth with Alucab, but just their supply is just next to impossible for us to get. So I think Yucapac is the answer for our foreseeable future.
I agree. So let's talk about upper control arms. There's a lot of different brands out there in the market, including EC and Dirt King and Dobinson, and there's all kinds of brands. And I know I've got to go to upper control arms here in the springtime. So some are adjustable, some are not. Taking a look at, say, my 2017 Tacoma with 33s on it, what would you recommend and why?
So I think, this begs a little bit of a larger conversation about upper control arms in the last year and maybe the last 2 years. If you go look at our builds, what we've recommended over the last probably 5 years, it's all been SPC.
Yep.
They come in at a phenomenal price point with a product that allows us to fit big tires. One thing that we love to do is put big tires on small trucks. And, doing 35s, like you can do that with an SPC.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, SPC had a bit of a quality control problem over the last year and a half. And because we sell so much of it, we really got hit hard. We started seeing a lot of warranty claims, warranty issues. And, I'll give it to them. They did a phenomenal job. They did not push back. They're aware of the issue. And they've really worked hard to help us help our customers through any of those issues. With that, we are very hopeful that it's been figured out, and the new arms going into trucks that we have started putting back into trucks now have completely different lot numbers, etc. And so we're hopeful that they're back to what we used to know, because we love those arms. Again, great price point, and the adjustability is just, you can't get that for that price point.
Yeah, I had a set of Mike Stair and I loved them. I put new ball joints in, a couple of years ago, but overall the quality was there at that point in time anyways.
Yes, 100%. And I ran them for a couple of years, no problem ever. So again, don't want to trash SPC. We love the product. We love the brand. We just need the quality to be back. But because of those issues, we started testing some different arms.
Yeah.
I've ran Icon Delta joints in the past. No problem. Just no adjustability, but great arm. I've also now tested the AccuTunes very recently. I actually have AccuTunes in my white truck right now. It might be the best of trucks ever driven, but a very cumbersome. They actually say don't adjust them, even though they're adjustable. We've messed them all up and changed them. They're just very cumbersome to change and adjust out, because they all have to be done outside of the vehicle. Then we've also tried Dirt King fixed uppers. Price point is pretty, the caster numbers, they're roughly around that 5 degrees, a little high for 35s. And I was rubbing way too much. I just as much as I really wanted to run them, because I have King lower control arms and it looked awesome, I just couldn't stick with them. So right now, when the SPC issue kind of happened, we brought in 2 arms and we're probably going to stick with the 3 of them, but those 2 as well. Dobinson fixed uppers, so the black upper control arms, great for your 33, 32 truck, good enough cast numbers, good clearance, not having any issues with major rubbing, and not really still needing a cab mount chop with those. Right. So if you're looking for a 33 budget control arm, roughly around an $850 range, maybe $900 now, I would say Dobinson fixed uppers. If you want in my opinion, the best of the best upper control arms, Dobinson adjustable, the billet aluminums, by far the best we've ever had. You've got in-vehicle camber and caster adjustment. You've got an arm that, in our opinion, gives us the best clearancing than we've had on any other vehicles with upper control arms. And they drive so nice. Like we have a truck, we have a couple trucks, we're running them now. And once we did the first set, we're like, why does it drive so nice? And but at $1,600 an arm for the arms, that is a premium arm. And so, when we have our premium builds, our high dollar builds where guys want the best of the best, that's what we're going to push. When guys need adjustment, but they don't want to spend that amount of money, we're probably going to do SPCs. And then for guys that just wants easy use, Moog ball joints, stuff that doesn't really tend to fail, the Dobinson fixed uppers are going to be our other go-to there. So we're going to be doing a lot more variation than we ever did in the past.
Well, I think that's a good way to put it. You got basically three different price levels, right? And, depending on what the customer needs and what he's using the vehicle for and what lift and that. So that breaks it down quite nicely. So,
yeah. And you know what? We kind of touched on it briefly previously where not everybody needs Elkas. They're rebuildable. They've got sphericals that need to be replaced. They do need some maintenance. And so some people need something that's a little bit more basic. So, or easier to maintain. So for that, we've got some Dobinson IMS suspension, great stuff, closer to like an OE bushings, etc. And then, pair that with a fixed upper. You pretty much got a setup that's not going to really fail on you regardless, as long as you don't like beat on it. But that's great for a lot of people that just want to set it and forget it kind of setup.
Yeah. Good for the Forest Service roads and some moderate wheeling and that, right? And go from there. No, that's exactly what I was kind of wondering. So I see you guys carry a few different manufacturers of skid plates. You got C4, you've got some made in Canada ones like OK Expedition and Green Lane. What are your thoughts on the steel versus aluminum debate?
Well, my white truck it's been fully sponsored by C4. I'm not holding that back. And it's all steel. And that thing is over 7,000 pounds. So that is a very, very heavy truck with all C4 steel. I've bashed it off of rocks. I've done all kinds of nasty stuff with those skids already, and they don't move. There's no debate whether steel or aluminum, which one's tougher. Steel wins every single time. My old truck, I only ever had aluminum. I had RCI, and I replaced them 3 times because at some point, the guys in the back were like, we're not putting these on again. These are just too bent. They're too destroyed. We cannot do it again. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll buy another one then. And, eventually, that's why I kind of decided with aluminum on that truck. That being said, on my green truck, I've got OK Expedition on there. Aluminum skids. I got the full package with the transfer case kit as well. We rerouted the exhaust. And they're pretty tough, man. I've honestly very, very impressed. They haven't really warped or done too much crazy stuff like damage to me or for me. And I've not been kind to them either. So quite impressed with that product. We really like Dave over there. Dave is just a phenomenal guy. I can email him and be like, Dave, what do you have? I need this right away. Yep, I'll send it out on Monday and you can have skids in a few days. And you put a bit of a rush on him. Like he's been just awesome to deal with and get us our products. We also work with Green Lane out on the coast.
Yeah.
Donovan, great company. We love his products. It kind of, that aluminum thing's nice because they don't rust. You can leave them bare. I always kind of laugh when guys want to paint their aluminum skids because I'm like, if you're not going to wheel, okay, sure. But if you're going to wheel, you're going to bash those up and they're not going to be black very long.
Yeah, it's something that's on my list of things to do. And, I've been looking at OK Expedition and the Green Lane ones, more or less because they are Canadian companies. And obviously I want to get the guys on the show as well, too, to learn more about their products and
I think
themselves.
Both companies would be great. I think in terms of fitment, I think the OK ones are a little bit better, but that's not to bash Donovan's product at all. Like Donovan's got great stuff. I love his bumpers, love a lot of his stuff there. So, to each their own. Yeah. They're both making great products.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, if people are doing some of the hardcore rock wheel, maybe C4 steel might be the way to go, right? But take something like myself, where in reality, 80% of my traveling is back and forth to work. And then another 10% is Forest Service roads, and then 10% is some of the hard trails. Then maybe aluminum might be the way to go.
Sounds like the right one for you, man. The weight, you don't think it's going to make a difference until you notice the difference. And yeah, for that, I would say 90% of what we sell is aluminum. It's the right choice for just about everybody. And, like, we've had a few of these aluminum skids where they're kind of dented up and beat up, and you just kind of put them in a press and you push them back to where they need to be. And for the most part, they withstand that pretty well. The only thing that I cannot stand about aluminum skid plates is for some reason they're noisy.
Oh, really?
If you don't have the bolts just right and everything's super perfectly tight, I don't know how those things come loose, but man, when they start clunking, it's brutal.
I hate rattles. So
Yeah, so that's the only thing. And for some reason, it's always foreigners. It's got some kind of clunk going on.
let's talk about Ryan's white Tacoma. That thing is plain badass. It's a white second gen with 37s, and he's got those white rims that just, I don't know, it just brings me back to those old school white spoke days, right? So
That's right.
what else he got going on that thing? 'Cause that thing's a monster.
Yeah, so that truck has just about 600,000 kilometers on it. It's an icon of the shop. You got to remember a lot of that truck was kind of built when Krave was in its infancy. And, would we do a drop bracket lift today? No, but Ryan had a dream of big tires and Ryan achieved that dream. And he did that with a drop bracket lift. And while that gets a lot of flack in many cases, he didn't do it poorly. We built custom, basically long travel length front suspension for it. So it's got 16-inch long coils on it. And, it I've driven that truck a few times. I've rallied it quite a few times, and it goes and it drives better than, I would say, almost half the trucks we built. It's obviously the 4-liter with the original transmission, and it's supercharged. It's got, I think, a 2.4 pulley on it. It's got cam gears. It's got the loudest exhaust I've heard in just about any truck. My ears were still ringing after coming home today. But that thing's just rowdy. Like it goes. It's cool. It's nostalgic for the company, and it's really been something that people just recognize with Krave. And we're gonna revamp it a little bit here this summer. Like I said, we're gonna put a Yucca pack on there, go into that next level, change it up. At some point, we'll probably have long travel on it. We've had it on 40s. Actually, last summer, we had it on 40s. We decided that it was probably a little too much for the IFS up front.
Yeah.
But funny enough, we drove to the expo and Ryan was getting 14 liters, 100 kilometers. That really hurt while I was getting 24.
Yeah.
So It's got 529 gears in it. Like I said, the suspension is fully custom, fiberglass front and rear lockers. Yeah, it's just super cool.
It's a beautiful truck. Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just love, like I say, I just love the white wheels on that. That just looks so good on it. So
we are waiting for maybe tomorrow they'll show up. We're getting a brand new, just released set of SES Blaze 10s in super gloss white for that truck. So it's going to be back on the white wheels and it's going to look pretty awesome.
So we talked earlier about the employees of Krave and how they are Toyota people and they are 4x4 people or overlanding people. What are some of the other vehicles in your employee parking lot?
Yeah, so, might as well start with my front end sales staff. So we got Cam, he's got an 80 series. It's actually on Ryan's white wheels right now on 37. It's awesome. Cam's got plans of selling his Chaser and putting a pop top on that thing. And, Cam uses it for fishing and, just general backwoods exploring kind of thing. Ashton, she has a 3rd-gen 4Runner. It's the first gen or 3rd-gen 4Runner that Elka made remote reservoir suspension for. We've got Keith. This truck's actually super cool. And Keith built that truck before he even worked at Krave. He built that when he was a customer. It's a 1st-gen Taco that he's had. I think it's his first car. It's something crazy like that. He's had it forever, and he put his own fiberglass on and built his own drawer system and his engine, wire management, and it's almost as good as we do in the shop. It's phenomenal. Keith's done a great job of building that vehicle. Just our sales guy, he's got a 3rd-gen 4Runner. We got Alex, our shop foreman. I don't know if you've seen his 4Runner, but he's got what used to be a it's still a 4-cylinder, 2-wheel drive 4Runner that he's done a manual swap and a 4-wheel drive swap on. He's also done a Tacoma front end swap on it. So it looks like a Taco from the front.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it, you will never forget it once you've seen it. He's got a custom paint job on that thing that is pretty retro. His inspiration came from a local brewery called Cabin Brewery. Actually, really good customer of ours, Jonas over there. He's got some pretty cool can designs. And I think the can is, or the beer is called Retrospective. And that was what Alex's inspiration was to paint his 4Runner. And so it's got brown, kind of a tan, and like a reddish orange color on there. And so a lot kind of like the heritage Toyota stripes.
Yeah.
kind of more in like a muted tone. Yeah, it's super cool. And then we have a couple of guys in the back. Jeremy's got a third gen 4Runner. We lots of third gen 4Runners. And then Kevin, one of our main techs, one of our lead techs there, he's got a third gen Tacoma as well. A little bit more of a mild build. It's a great truck to have at the shop because you got my truck, you've got Ryan's truck. Those things are kind of the high end of what you can do. Kevin's truck is the perfect truck to show for the guy that's got, I want a rooftop tent, I want to go hunting, I want to go fishing, I want to just explore, and I want some 33-inch tires. And that is our classic KR33 sitting right in front of the shop.
Yep. Just a regular guy.
Exactly. And then
regular
it's
guy
the perfect
build.
truck to show. Yep.
Yeah.
And then Ethan and Derek, there's another third gen Tacoma from Derek. Derek is our longest standing employee. He's been with Krave just about from the start. Started off as kind of like a free hire through Motive Action. And he is currently in school for his third year, and he's become Mr. Reliable, and he's just a great little tech for the shop there. And he's built up a really nice third gen Taco actually. And then one of our newest hires is Ethan. He's got a second gen Taco, which we're slowly helping him. And then the other cool truck that I almost forgot about is a first gen Sequoia. Actually,
Nice.
Our most recent tech hire, Damon, or Bradley, as I like to call him, he's got a first gen Sequoia that is pretty cool. Yeah, it's got retro stripes on it and just unique.
I love those first gen Sequoias. It's just, they're good looking truck and they're capable.
It's like a 4Runner with a V8 in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I guess you had the 4 gens, but yeah.
So you guys recently had up on your Instagram a weird vehicle for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's not your normal vehicle.
This one's making waves. Yeah, for sure.
Not your normal vehicle, but maybe you can give us a quick rundown on that one.
Yeah. So Eric Roth from Posh Detailing has been a phenomenal customer of Krave's for a long time. He's really supported the shop. We've never asked him to put a decal on any of his trucks, and he's rocked one with pride. His last Tacoma, we supercharged, geared, locked. It had custom printed green decal on there. Eric's business, Posh Detailing, is they do custom vehicle wraps, quite high end. And he reached out and he said, I'm selling the Taco, but like I don't want to leave you guys. Like I love the service, I love the team that you guys have, and are you willing to work with me? And I said, Eric, like absolutely, you supported us. I want to support you. I don't know anything about this vehicle, but I think it's rad. It's an imported G400 diesel from Germany. I think it was 2001, brought in by the previous owner about 10 years ago. And it is cool, man. Like if
it
I
looks
didn't
so
have
good.
Yeah.
Just,
And so we just, with products from Jack Wagon, Overlanding in the States, we lifted it 4 inches. We put 35s on it. That was the first stage. And then second stage was putting it's actually a 70 series front bumper. They never made a front bumper for these vehicles. And there are some brackets available through another shop that we were not able to get. So we were challenged with making our own custom brackets to make that bumper fit. And the team put their heads together. We've got a welder that works part-time for us, Matt, and he's a B pressure welder journeyman in the oil field. And man, that guy's got laser eyes. Like when he looks at something, it is dead straight. And he built us a mount for that bumper that I'm sure you can pull that thing up a tree. Like it is not going anywhere. And so, yeah, we're building G-Wagons now. If you got one, I'll build it.
Yeah, it looks so good.
Yeah.
I have to admit, it looks almost better than a Land Cruiser, I have to say. Like,
yeah, I saw your post there. Yeah, honestly, they're beautiful. They're cool. They're unique. And as much as it's not the Toyota that we're obviously got passion, I think it's a unique project. It's a project that really challenged my team. I think that what's cool about it is like it made my team really think about like, well, how are we going to solve this problem? How are we going to look at this project that we've never dealt with before?
Yeah.
And I think they're just showing us how strong they are at their craft of building vehicles. And I kind of welcome more of it, to be honest, because I think that we need to keep challenging these guys, building unique stuff and kind of making waves a little bit. I think there's a few Nissan guys out there that's upset that we haven't built their trucks and Jeep guys. But, honestly, Krave's growing. We do work on Toyota 99.9% of the time, but that doesn't mean that we will not dabble a little bit in the coming months and years here in some other platforms. And I think it's important for us to keep growing and learning. And yeah, G-Wagons are pretty hot right now.
So what's one thing that you enjoy most about working at Krave? I know
Um,
there's a lot of really cool things, but
yeah, I mean, what's cool is that I was able to leave a career as a geologist, and really what I said was, I want to create my own destiny. I want to go to work every day and build a plan for my future and how I want to live my life and do what I love. And with that, I get to talk to people about building their trucks, which I'm super passionate about. I get to do photography every day, which I'm super passionate about. And I get to work with people and just teach people about what I've learned and help them with their journey. I get a lot of people telling me, "Hey, I want a truck just like yours." And to those people, I always say, whatever you do it with purpose,
yeah,
and do not forget to enjoy the process, because so many people, they have no purpose for their build and they don't enjoy it. They just kind of rush through it. They kind of just want the end product. And that's not the right way to do this. Like, do this at your pace. Do this because you want those products, because you need those products. And, you know, that's what I love doing. I love educating people and just working with people to make their dreams come reality.
that's awesome. I couldn't agree more. I mean, to see, it must be really, well, I know it is really neat, with my experience in the 4x4 shops, but to talk with customers and, what are you using the vehicle for and what are your ideas and go from there. And then to watch a vehicle, whether it roll out of the shop the first time or the 10th time that it's in, and seeing that look in that customer's face. And it's great.
You're totally right.
It's,
Honestly, I got so many photos of vehicles where I took photos the first time, and then the second time I take the exact same photos all over again because I'm like, it's so much cooler now. And like, I just got to get them right. And so, it's about delivery process. And, a lot of our customers have been with us for a long time, and they keep coming back because they love the experience. They drive by
yep.
and they just come bring us coffee and they just want to say hi, because that's really that relationship that we want to foster with people, that we want to have with people, is just to create that community. And with that, that it's not, I think, even a talking point, but it's something that I really want to try to do more of, is creating community,
Mhm.
giving back to people that supported us over the last 5 years. Last year, we did a Crave, we called the Crave Crew, and camp out, and, I invited some people to come out camping and just spend some time with us, because people are always asking, like, "Hey, how do I go wheeling with you guys?" I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to set aside time, a couple weekends a year, where I'm actually going to make that happen, because I think it's really, really important."
Yeah, definitely for sure. And if I remember correctly, you guys did a bit of a toy run last year too, right?
Yeah, we've done, was 3 or 4. I think we've done 4 toy runs now. We do for the Children's Cottage Society. We collect toys through the month of end of November, December,
Yep.
for the Cottage Society there. Last year, just kind of judging by what we had in cash donations and then kind of what the toy pile looked like, we probably had about $10,000 worth of toys collected, which I think made a lot of kids really happy.
Yep.
We love that project. And yeah, the toy run that we do is basically a wheeling trip that we do out into the Coast Valley. We take some customers out there, we take our staff out there, and we just, a lot of those trucks are stock. They're super stock. And as much as this year's trip was kind of boring, in my opinion, in terms of like snow levels, it was the perfect run to show people that's never been out there what it's like,
Yeah.
where to go, and just get their first steps into the off-roading.
Get them hooked.
Exactly. Yeah. And, the other thing that we do is we build calendars. I feel kind of bad because it's pretty much just my trucks or photos that I've taken, but we've been collecting or we've been donating calendars for a food bank donation.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what we did this year. I think we're going to switch it up this year, as much as we want to support the food bank. And I think it's really important. We're probably going to change it up for Trails for Tomorrow.
Yep.
We're going to do a calendar for a donation for Trails for Tomorrow. I run the social media for Trails for Tomorrow, and, they could really use some more funds to do great projects out here in Alberta. We're constantly losing trails and losing access, and Trails for Tomorrow is trying to keep those trails sustainable and open for future generations. And I think that's what Crave's going to start doing to help donate some money into that and get more trail projects, bridges, whatever it takes to, keep that going.
Yeah. So let's briefly talk about the Trails for Tomorrow. It's a fairly new organization in Alberta. right? I mean,
Yeah.
within a couple of years anyways.
Yeah, it's fairly new. It was started by a couple of great guys. And, the intention obviously is to maintain sustainable trails for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And, it's working with AP, working with government, working with other stakeholders in order to do those projects and have a voice for the 4x4 community. With overlanding becoming more and more popular, the government also needs organizations like ours to have an outreach to the overland and off-road communities. Off-roading's really changed over the last number of years. It used to be your guys on 40s and boggers and kind of rowdy guys out in McLean Creek, and that's not my thing. I hate mud. And what Trails for Tomorrow, I think, does is it has that bridge from the community to the government and say, hey, we're a couple of guys that loves to hunt, fish, hike, what have you, and we happen to drive an off-road vehicle to get there. And so having these sustainable trails is really important for recreation, for tourism, etc. And that's what Trails for Tomorrow is really trying to do. And it's not always easy. We got our AGM coming up here, and we're trying to get some fresh blood in there on March 14th. And so if people want to join the AGM, I think it's a great cause. And even if you just kind of want to get involved, we're looking for some trail reps we have a guy for Calgary, we have somebody for kind of Central, we need somebody for Grand Prairie area, and we need somebody for kind of the Fort Mac area. Just to kind of have boots on the ground, right? Like you have that guy that knows the community, knows the clubs. So yeah, bit of a pit.
That's the biggest thing. I've been very involved in the Four-Wheel Drive Association for a number of years, and same sort of concept that you're talking about for Alberta, and it's the volunteers that make it happen.
Yeah,
and it could be anybody from just coming out to helping out at the cleanup to becoming more involved and being an area rep or whatever, right? But
absolutely.
I definitely encourage people to get involved somehow with your local organization, whether it's Trails for Tomorrow or whether it's, the Ontario Four-Wheel Drive Association or whichever. But, get involved somehow, because without groups like these working, our trails are going to be shut down. There's no doubt about it. So.
Well, the biggest thing is I think that as a company like Krave, we have a huge impact on that trail system. There's no doubt that we build trucks that are out there. We encourage people to get out there. And so with that, I think we have a responsibility, and that's where my involvement comes in. Yeah. That's why I am involved with T4T and why we want to try to continue to support it. And yeah, absolutely. People need to get involved. People need to start volunteering for these events when we're doing trail cleanups or we're trail building, etc. Because the more the government sees us putting back into it, I think the more likely they are to give back to us and say, you know what? Yeah, we see what the overland community is doing. We see that they're learning how to pick up their garbage and do all this stuff that I think is really important in the government's eyes.
And truth be told, a lot of those events are fun. Yeah, you're picking up 100%. Garbage, but you're hanging out with other wheelers, and there's kids are helping out, and there's the fun events to get involved with. So
yeah, like we did a trail cleanup out in McLean Creek a couple of years ago, and we were pretty much just wheeling. And rather than stop for a photo, you stop to pick up a beer can or whatever. So it's really not that much work, and it's a great way to get to meet people too. So
100%. So how can people find out more information about Trails for Tomorrow?
Yeah, so Trails for Tomorrow is online. I think it's trailsfortomorrow.ca. Trails for Tomorrow. So 4, not 4, the number 4, trailsfortomorrow.ca. We're also on Instagram under Trails for Tomorrow, Facebook. I'm not a Twitter user, so we're not active on there. So yeah.
Well, that's great. We'll throw those in the show notes as well too, because I think it's a very, very, very important part of our community for sure. So the last question that we ask every guest is, what Canadian would you like to listen to on the 4x4 Canada podcast?
Oh man, there's some cool guys out there. Maybe a lesser known guy, but I don't know if you've talked to Mike Lodowick. He is a guy from the Red Deer area. He can't decide if he wants a Jeep or a Toyota, so I'll kind of, I keep making fun of him for that, but he's been Toyota Mike on Instagram. He's also Mountain Jeep Mike and whatever, bunch of different Mikes. But Mike is just a phenomenal guy. He really knows the trail systems within Alberta, and he's been a huge proponent of just having fun exploring. See, some of the most beautiful places that I've seen have been with Mike or with Mike's help. And so, I think you'd have a blast talking to Mike. Mike can tell stories for hours. I think he would double our time on here just to tell you more stories. So I would say, Mike, get Mike on here.
Yeah, no, I will check him out for sure. I'll name drop you. and
Yeah.
said that you challenged him to come on.
Yeah. He looks like a Viking. He's got this beard and this hairs, and yeah, he's just a rad dude. I love that guy.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll check it out for sure. Once again, we're talking to Vill from Krave Automotive, and you can check out craveautomotive.ca and Krave Automotive on Facebook and on Instagram. And also, you can check his own personal Instagram out at Geo Scout Adventures. Lots of incredible photography on there. And really want to thank you for coming on and spend some time with me tonight here, Vill. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Wes. I think it's awesome what you're doing is, bringing these shops together, bringing these individuals together, and really just sharing the depth of what we have up here in Canada. I think that Canada is becoming known for its beauty, for its trails, for what we have up here, what we have for shops, and just the individuals that really care about this community and this hobby. So yeah, thanks for having us. Thanks for listening
No
to
problem.
how much I talk.
It's all good. It's interesting learning about the people and the companies. And that's one of the reasons that I started this, was to learn not necessarily more about the companies, but the people behind the companies.
Yeah.
And as well as, the YouTubers and the Instagram people as well, right? There's so many interesting people out there.
Yeah, I think you did some great research, and obviously the questions spoke for it. So that's good.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.